Hey, welcome to The Nursing Dose with your host, Dr. Farah Laurent. And today I have a very special guest. We have Dr. Kimberly Madison, who will also be joining us at the Nurses Making Business Moves Conference as a speaker. Thank you so much, Dr. Kimberly Madison, for coming on. And we're going to be talking about money talk for nurses. So if you want to say hello, introduce yourself to the people.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Kimberly Madison. I'm a doctorally prepared nurse practitioner and the founder of the Alliance of Cosmetic Nurse Practitioners. And I'm Farah's sister. How many times have we done this now? I have to be one of your top interviews on both sides of the mic.
I think so. I think you're one of the top. Like I've probably had you on at least 3 or 4 times. So it's always a pleasure to have you on. And of course, I think I've been on yours maybe 2 or 3, but maybe I'll make it on again.
Yes. Yeah, you're going to help us launch our new founder series. We're talking about money. That's actually a big part of the mission over there, because everyone's getting into business, but they don't understand the money part. They've invested all their money in taking care of the patient, but taking care of the patient doesn't keep the doors open. And when our doors close, patients can't get the care they need.
Exactly. So this is why we're talking about money today. Dr. Kimberly Madison is one of my business besties. We always typically get on the phone and talk business together, even beyond these podcasts, because we're really, truly, like, I think, intrigued with business and just the entrepreneurship just game. So let's talk about your first thoughts about entrepreneurship and how you started thinking about entrepreneurship and the importance of money and financial literacy for nurses.
Well, I have to shout out my brothers in New York, the founders of Earn Your Leisure, Rashad and his name escapes me. Anyway, those two guys, they started a financial literacy podcast like 10 years ago. But during the pandemic, everybody's sitting at home, and they really started talking about that generational wealth. And the only way to really get there, in their eyes, one of the main ways is entrepreneurship, where you actually own your destiny. And I think with nursing in particular, there's a lot of ways you can get there. Actually, I'm really big on intrapreneurship and entrepreneurship, right? Because you can work within the business and still help it grow and be very successful. But you can't do that if you don't understand the money. And I say all the time, nurses are in business. We just don't have the language. But it's like having a beautiful kitchen with amazing ingredients. You have everything at your disposal. And so once we teach you how to cook, you're going to have a 5-star restaurant. You're not starting from scratch.
Let her cook. Let them cook. Let them cook. Yeah.
So generational wealth is so important, because you can work so many hours. You can only save so much money. Your money needs to work for you, because at some point, all of us are going to leave this planet, and our legacy is beyond information we pass on. It's also the wealth. That's the people who are in charge right now. This is generations that have been passed down, and power that has been passed down. And in our community, that hasn't been the case. That's where it kind of really started. And once I realized that importance, you look back in your childhood and you think, oh, I didn't know anything. But then you start realizing, oh, but grandma had this thing and she was doing that. And I did work over here and I did start my own Kim's cookie thing. Then it's like, it's actually been, I just didn't have the language. I literally didn't.
Yes. Yeah. And it's funny. So many things just poured in my head when you started talking about this stuff. Because when I first started my nurse career coaching business in 2021, I was like, yeah, I'm the first person in my family to like go into business. And I was like, what am I talking about? Like, I've seen this my whole childhood with my father, right? My dad was a natural entrepreneur. He literally would have different businesses that he started, even from the garage where I grew up, right in West Africa. He had like a t-shirt making business, some type of car business, like so many different businesses along the way. And I think that's where I picked up a lot of the entrepreneurial mindset. And he's really the one I would say in my family that's like the most adventurous, that I probably got a lot of those skills from. Like he would love to travel. He takes action. Like I think that's where I got my stuff from. But you're right. A lot of times it's imprinted on us, but we don't really know the sources, or, we're influenced by other people. But the missing piece is it's really missing a lot from like traditional education systems and also in nursing. So this is why I think you and I love talking about these things, because it's important to have these platforms to really teach nurses, because even like the new nurses that I'm helping get into these roles, a lot of them I'm helping them get six figures. Some of them are going from having no job ever, never ever worked before, to now making six figures. And if, like you said, they don't have that financial literacy, they don't know what to do with it, it can get overwhelming. So, what are your thoughts on that? Just from starting nursing.
I love that because, okay, so now they've gotten into nursing, and in cosmetics in particular, what we see is some people are only going to nursing to get into cosmetics, which is a whole nother podcast, okay? Because nursing is way more than any specialty. But anyway, they're going into nursing to get in cosmetics. And just like you said, you're helping them get those six figures. And we make an assumption that just because now you're a high earner, that that's going to translate into business success. And because all of our value at school, boards, jobs is put into what we know about taking care of the patient, we think that's all we know. And that's all we can do. And that's all that anyone cares about. And so that's all we put our investment in. They do their training doing that, and all their time is there. So then you've helped them get a job. They've been in that job for a couple of years, but now they're burnt out. And they think wherever we're exposed to, that's what we're attracted to. So I'm on social media, kind of debriefing from the day, living vicariously through other people. And I just happen to see a lot of cosmetic content. It doesn't mean that there aren't other specialties, but those people make a lot of content. Let's be real. Other people, they're just not making content, right? Maybe it's not as sexy. So a lot of people are attracted to that because there's an assumption that that won't be as stressful as this CHF or this liver failure, right? Right? Because they want to help people feel their best and they want to do something they're passionate about. I'm all about passion, but I'm also about doing something you're actually really good at. So anyway, so they transition into cosmetics, but they never still learn how to manage those finances. And if you can't manage your personal finances, you're never going to be able to manage that business. And so what we see within 2 to 3 years is they're going bankrupt because all the time is spent into the patient care. And they're very confused as to why they can't keep their doors open. So they'll outsource because they're saying, oh, I don't care about sales and I don't want to be salesy and I don't care about that social media stuff. And so they outsource it to someone, and that person also doesn't care about your sales or the patient care. They just care about staying in business. And so they're confused with why those Facebook ads haven't translated into $10,000, right? And then they just shut down. So that's bankruptcy. If they don't hit bankruptcy within that 5 years, then they're burnt out because we don't trust nurses. We don't trust anyone can do as good a job as we can do. So when it comes to delegating, it's just faster for me to do it. So now that business, you've just bought yourself a job and now you're burnt out.
Yep.
If you make it past that, then it's the passion. It's just not what you thought it was going to be. The aesthetic world it's a very different clientele. And after you have taken care of those CHF and those liver failure patients, you understand the fragility of life. And sometimes you just don't see that connection in aesthetics. And so they report that, is the effort that I'm putting in isn't worth the outcome that I'm not getting. And then the margins are super low because you have to spend so much to get a small package of Botox and filler. It's like if you want to buy t-shirts, they make you buy 6 minimum, right? We all know if you've ever tried to buy a t-shirt, they'll be like, you have to buy 6 to get 1. But in cosmetics, it's like $10,000 to $20,000. But you don't have $10,000 to $20,000 of clients walking through your door. And it comes down to that finance.
Right. And oh my God, like there's so much stuff to unpack here. And y'all, this is why you need to come to Nurses Making Business Moves Conference. Not only are you going to hear from Dr. Kimberly Madison, especially if you are in healthcare or maybe just interested in aesthetics or a student, this is for everybody. It's not just for nurses, but you're going to hear from Dr. Kimberly Madison. She'll be, speaking there. I'll be speaking mostly about branding, but you're going to hear from a wide perspective of nurses who have businesses and from entrepreneurs outside of the nursing industry. And this is what's different about this conference. Most nursing conferences that you go to, all you're going to see is nursing related stuff. This is bringing other experts from marketing, sales, finance, coming together and really giving you that step-by-step and the knowledge that you need to prevent the mistakes that she's talking about and to really learn how to foundationally build your business and grow your business, right? So I think where you started off, number one, where most people get it wrong is number one, they don't know which point of entry, right? So, like you said, a lot of them, and this is just if you're talking about aesthetics, if some people are interested in aesthetics, there's other ways to get there. You don't necessarily have to go to nursing school or become a nurse practitioner. So, number one is fact checking, right? This is what this conference does. Me and you have spent years and years consuming content, reading books, listening to podcasts about business. This one weekend, you'll literally have access to proximity. You're paying for access. So you can ask people like Dr. Kimberly Madison, hey, I have this idea, or this is where I'm stuck in my business. What do you think I should do next? So that it could save you literally a bunch of time or even money that you're going to be wasting. You can actually ask the real source, right? So that's number one. People, I think, lack a lot of clarity, and they think there's like a specific expectation. They're like, oh, if I go into business, this is going to happen. And I think this is why you mentioned internships a lot. It's so important to go and see perhaps what a med spa looks like, how it functions, spend time with the owner, see what it looks like from the business side and also from the front end side of like the actual what is the delivery of the service look like or the products or whatever, and see, is this going to be a profitable business before you even start? So let's talk about, I guess service-based businesses, let's say, something that nurses can start that they don't have to have a lot of overhead. Because some nurses think like, if I have to get in business, I need all this money up front. And that is not necessarily true. So, what are your thoughts on those nurses that want to start service-based businesses?
Oh, I am going to answer that, but I remember it's Troy and Rashad. They're the founders of Earn Your
Oh,
Leisure.
yeah.
What I love about spaces like what you're offering here at Nurses Making Business Moves, and congratulations to you. I just love telling your testimony of how you wanted to go to that one big conference and it didn't work out, and you created your own Nurses Making Money Moves, and everyone tried to discourage you, saying you need a whole 12 months to do it, and you did it in 3 months. And since then, you're doing all these masterminds, you're doing all these inner circles, and here we are, year 2, business moves in a school. Really, right? We're the biggest gap.
Entrepreneurship Center. Yes. Shout out to University of Tampa for giving me that opportunity and partnership, because they also believe, shout out to Dr. White. I just had a meeting with her. She's the chair of the entrepreneurship program at the University of Tampa. And I was just telling her, how important it is to me to build these entrepreneurial skills in nurses. And, she also believes the same. And this is why we partnered. So shout out to the University of Tampa and their entrepreneurship center. And thank you for shouting me out and my vision as I had these early conversations with people like you. So thank you for encouraging me also to dream bigger.
Yeah, and our relationship is a whole podcast in itself, because entrepreneurship is lonely, and that discouragement is real because a lot of people have employee mindset. That's how we raise our children. But I love spaces like yours because there's a misconception that if you go to nursing school, it's going to teach you everything you need to know about the profession. It's literally patient care school. That it's only teaching you how to take care of the patient. But there's media, there's taxes, financial literacy, your personal well-being. That's a thing, right? If you want to survive, your personal well-being and your professional development, which is outside of nursing. So spaces like this are necessary because there are gaps in nursing school. And you know what? People talk about nursing school needs to fix all these things. I honestly think nursing school has their hands full with teaching us how to take care of the patient, because that's enough. Entrepreneurs can fill those gaps. I don't need to keep going to McDonald's and giving them my best recipe. I need to go open my own burger restaurant and sell my best recipe. Why would I keep giving McDonald's ways to be more successful? Because nursing school is a business. So spaces like this help fill those gaps. And we can take our 10 years, because you mentioned all these things we did. We also invest money. We put skin in the game. Yeah, we watched it for YouTube. Yes, we listened to a free podcast. Yes, I rented a book from the library for free. Yes, I split this one thing with a friend and saved my money. But I also invest thousands of dollars. Right? Yes. And so I take this, let's say I sum up 10 years in 10 minutes with you at the conference, right? I can do that. That's what time and experience can give you. And you can save $10,000. I'm here to help you. I have 6 figures of student loan debt. I don't want anyone to have that. I don't recommend it. I will give you a few tips to help you avoid that. There's no reason you need to go down that lane. And it was just lack of knowledge. It was just lack of
Yep.
knowledge. A conference like this helps you to get that, and it gives you the confidence, and it gives you networks. We always talk about people opening doors, but a friend of mine said, yeah, but they also keep it held open, because that's a thing too, right? To keep it open.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And this is the thing, and full transparency, like there's people that I talk to, even for example, physicians that I've reached out to. And that's the thing, like, not everybody will see value in particular events or certain things. But what I want people to understand, some, like I've reached out to some physicians and they're like, yeah, but what's in it for me? Like, why would I come to this conference? I was like, cool. You don't see the value. That's all right. But I want nurses and other entrepreneurs, and this is just for everybody. It's not just for nurses. Yes, it has nurses in the name, just because, I'm a nurse and I wanted this to be.
And because we're the backbone of healthcare, that's all. That's it. That's because of that.
Right. So, I just want to make sure that it's also an inclusive environment for all, even if you're a marketing student, you're a business student, there is something for everyone. So, and again, that goes back to scarcity mindset. You might think, well, I'm a physician and I have this type of business and I don't belong in certain events or certain conferences or whatever, but that's where you start limiting yourself. So that's why even me early on, I was like, all right, cool. I love going to conferences, but let me start going to some business conferences so I can learn outside of the industry. So when you open up yourself to more spaces, just like this conference in Tampa, yes, it's an investment, but it's a small investment up front where you can have, a huge ROI from. Like Dr. Kimberly Madison said, literally one connection can change your whole career. Like I've been to events where like you go to the event and you leave with a job, you leave with clients, you leave with a speaking engagement, like you sell out your books. You have to look at it in a way where it's not just also what are you going to get out of it? What can you bring to the table as well? Because this community is not just like what I can take from it. The community, like what I felt there last year was like unbelievable. It was like everybody was trying to help each other, connect this person with that one. Hey, I know someone. Like that's the community, helping each other, whether you're a nurse or you're in finance or whatever. It's all about community and not gatekeeping information and building those bridges.
I know that's so hard to believe because there's a lot of spaces, including cosmetics, where that's all you experience. And so I've gone to a lot of derm conferences. All I want to do is talk about business and money. And all they want to do is talk about taking care of the patient and being the best injector that ever lived. So when I go to spaces like what you're doing here at Nurses Making Business Moves, hi, Allison Edwards, Bess, thanks for being here. Can't wait to see you in Tampa, March 6th and the 7th, starting with VIP night. VIP night, that's like the thing right there. But the thing is, when you want to have these conversations, when you want to get clarity, when you want to get strategy, hey, we're going to book this Google Meet next Thursday at 11 a.m. right after the conference. When you want to have those things happen quickly, you don't have to wait for someone to respond to an email, respond to your DM, hope that they get your idea. You want to be in spaces like this because you cannot be spending all your time convincing other people what's in it for them and why this is the thing to do. You need to spend all that time and money building your business because time and capital are limited. You can't be wasting it. And one thing I realized since I've been out in these social media streets, people don't get nursing. They don't get it. That's why you see all the questions and all the criticism. It's a lack of knowledge. So that's why I put out a white paper last year so that you guys don't have to answer those questions anymore. Why you didn't go to med school? When are you going to be a doctor? Don't worry about that question anymore. You send them to that free white paper, and now you go talk to people who care about you building, who can keep you in business. I'm all about find other people who can benefit from you being in business and then keep each other in business. That's what this world is all about. You've heard me say it so many times. Coke might be a great drink. It may or may not, but you've seen it everywhere. So when someone asks you if you want a drink, first thing you just say is, I'll take a Coke, because that's at the top of your head. That's it. If I keep talking about FARA's conference, it's the #1 business conference for nurses. And someone asks you, hey, what's a good conference for nurses going into business? You're going to say Farah Laurent.
Thank you. Because it is, like, honestly. And that's also even thinking about just business, pitching and promoting. Yes, there's sales and stuff like that, but foundationally, and I think this is where your values come in if you have a business, right? You can't have a business that you don't believe in, right? So people asked me last year, they're like, well, how did you do it? Like, you didn't even have a website, you didn't have sponsors. How did you get all these people to come to Tampa from 20 different states and even from Canada? And I'm like, because I believed in what I was saying, my message and the conviction, like, because I'm tired of nurses living paycheck to paycheck because I was there. I'm tired of us taking lowball offers and nurse practitioners that have tons of experience, and then they're giving them a salary that's what a new grad makes. And then we're like, oh, we're grateful.
We're taking it though. We're accepting that.
We're ruining it for our profession. And
Yes.
then me off. And then we're like, yeah, well, I'm just gonna take it for the experience.
Put my foot in the door.
And then get it under my belt, put it on my resume, and then the next one I'll negotiate. But then you don't. And it's a cycle. I've been there.
It's a mindset. It's a total mindset, right?
Yes.
Because you accepted that low ball, now you have 2 and 3 other jobs. And now you're also trying to start a business and wondering why you're burning out.
Yep.
And why you're going bankrupt and closing your doors. So you can look at a lot of social media content, and I consult these people. And even I'm like, I looked at your page, everything looks like it's doing wonderful. What are we talking about all these problems? People have the wrong impression and they're following your lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, I follow a lot of marketers, like, these top millionaires and billionaires and stuff, but a lot of the principles that they say are true, right? We say like, oh, it's mindset, and then people think it's like fluff or whatever. But it truly is like the person that's limiting you the most in your business is yourself. And the accepting the lowball offers, that's like a internal thing that we need to work on, and a mindset and a value and self-esteem. And it comes from scarcity. Like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to get another position. Let me just take this. And that's what you're taking into business. If you don't start leveraging the business skills, the negotiation skills, because we're fearful of having these conversations because we don't know how to have them. And this is what this conference is going to do for you, is to build up these skills and learn from nurses who have built their business to 6 figures while still, working part-time. Jennifer Zahurik, I can't wait to hear her speak, but she built her business to 7 million in revenue for, former ER nurse. She still works, I think, per diem in the ER. I love her. But she built this huge education company, right? And then in our heads, we're like, oh, we're a nurse. We don't want to talk about money. We're in the business of caring. Okay, but are you going to pay your bills?
Yeah, you have to care about your bills because your mortgage company cares about your bills. And, when it comes to that whole, you don't want to talk about money conversation, the truth is that if you don't talk about the money, you're going to leave money on the table every single day for your family, for your children who want to go to that really good school, for that summer house that you want when your aging parents come around. It's not about the money. It's about what it lets you do. And I know that nurses work very, very hard. And I just want to see you live the life that you work so hard for. Everyone else is wondering what you do. We don't have to wonder. We already know. And we would just want to see you manifest the harvest.
Yes. And, nurses, and I do content around this all the time, and I know you do. Nurses are some of the most highly educated individuals out there. We have degree after degree, certification after certification, which is great. And I don't knock education down, right? But we need to start leveraging our knowledge into intellectual property and make it like an ecosystem where we can start monetizing off that, whether it's consulting, speaking, writing a book, and creating an ecosystem where we take this intellectual property. And we think a lot of times, well, it's not much what I know, whatever. And I'm like, it's like a gold mine. Like I talk to, for example, people that are experts in simulation, CHESI certified. I'm like, you can be a consultant in in simulation and go be a consultant to all these schools, because a lot of these nursing schools don't have simulation programs.
Mm-hmm.
And you could start making bank off that. But in their head, they're like, I just got this little certification. I can't do much with it. But you can.
Because there's no magic number, right? What is it going to be 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when you feel like you're ready or you're worth it? I had to realize that myself. There is no magic number. Once you've gotten that certification, that licensure from your school and your state, that's it. You're out there. And as long as you keep showing up every day, you're going to keep learning. So you don't need to go be under someone's belt to learn everything you can, because you're never going to learn everything you can from one person. Just keep showing up every day and you're going to get there. But I love the intellectual property topic. And I love that what you brought up, that idea. When I was in nursing school, one of my professors used to do the CPR certification for everyone. And I think she only accepted like 40 students. And I think it was like $45 a piece. I was like, it was supposed to be 4 hours, but as soon as we got there, she's like, we'll be done in 2 hours, right? So I did the math real quick. I was like, okay, 40 students, $45. Look what she just did in 2 hours. That's when I think that was probably the first time in nursing I saw like, oh, wow, I can do that. Really, just like that. And you can apply that across the board. So when you're talking about service-based, it starts with what you already know. If you got into nursing school, now you're a master at getting into nursing school. If you graduated, now you're a master at graduating. If you passed your boards, now you're a master at passing boards. And every day, someone is coming right behind you, every single day. And you can stay there and serve those people, or as you grow, you can continue to serve a different clientele. But what you don't have to do is wait.
Exactly. And I just, spoke to somebody that was in a business mastermind. We both talked about how we've invested thousands and thousands in coaching, because what coaching does, and also going to events like Nurses Making Business Moves, is it takes you to another level in terms of like the accountability, right? Mm-hmm. Like execution and strategy and implementing things that you're not just implementing yourself. Eventually, you'll have to, if you want to be serious in business, you have to start building out a team and things like that, which is like a whole nother podcast. But that's where I think people get stuck. I forgot the book that I was reading, but it's like, if you want to have like a plumbing business and you've been a plumber for years and you want that plumbing business to grow, you can't have the business and be the plumber still. Like, you have to step away from that. And really strategize on how you're going to grow, right? But I think a lot of, and I just lost my train of thought, but I think a lot of nurses think like
they have to do everything.
Yeah, they have to do everything. You think you have to go get an MBA, like nothing against MBAs or entrepreneur programs and all these things. Great, but
they still get coaches. After they get their MBA, they go hire a coach.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need to do that. Look at all the biggest entrepreneurs. A lot of them didn't even finish college or university. Some of them straight out of high school, because they're too bored and they just wanted to execute. And they looked at the marketplace. Hey, you find a problem, a solution, product market fit, profitable. You're seeing, you're looking at trends and what's going on. And then you just move with it. Instead of taking 3 years to think about it, just take action. And if it fails, great, fix it up, relaunch something else. It's all about trial and error. And I think so many nurses are, so stuck in like evidence-based practice. And theory and stuff is great, but let's take some risks. Like, you're not going to build wealth if you don't take risks and if you don't invest in your professional development or growth, and also invest back into your business, and then learn about investing, which is a whole nother topic. But my point was, I met a physician, an OBGYN physician, who was burnt out. She was making good money. I think she said she was like up to $500K a year, but she was just burnt out, wanted to spend more time with her family. All she does now is teach other OBGYNs how to be board certified. And she's making, I think, like 50 to 60K a month just from doing that.
Yeah, because you can have all that money and you can still have an employee mindset. You can still be living paycheck to paycheck. You can still have one event happen in your life and that money go out the window. So that employee mindset, you don't even know that you have it. But when you come to nurses making business moves, now you're going to have that light bulb moment. You're going to finally get the difference. And when I realized how much it took to be successful in business, it's like, well, why do I need another certification and degree? Go sit under someone for another 5 years when I'm not even going to be using it. I'm going to be supporting the people, taking really good care of the people, carrying out my vision. That's a totally different skill set. I need to be a master of communication so they know what to do. And I need to take really good care of them so they want to stick around and keep doing it. That's not going to be in nursing school.
Exactly. And I think even if, I did a live a little bit before this, even if you're in your career now, you don't know what your next move, you're like, I want to do something different. I want to pivot. And you're like, oh, maybe I should just go like take this next degree. I want you to just pause for a moment, come to the conference, see what is available there, because so many people last time left with so much clarity in terms of what their next move was. And you may not necessarily be ready to build a business just now. Maybe you have an idea, but this is the time to start moving now, to start learning the fundamentals, start building a personal brand, start creating content around the pillars of like the purpose of what really matters to you. Because guess what? When you want to decide to write your book or start speaking on stages, that's not when you publish your book and you're like, hey, by the way, I have a book. It's too late then. You have to start building your personal brand now. This is what I tell the nursing students all the time, right? And, building brand is extremely important. And I think it's really the foundation of like building trust in business so that people can trust and do business with you in terms of, even if you want to get promoted, right, at work, they have to be able to promote and to trust you before they can actually promote you. And we're not saying leave nursing. You don't have to leave nursing.
It depends on how you define nursing, right? Because people hear nursing, they only think patient care.
Right.
Once you have gone through that, your mindset has changed. There's no other way. You can't think, and you can't unthink the way nursing is. So no matter whether you transition to finance, real estate, you're still a nursing professional, and you can still serve all 5 million of us and have a built-in clientele because you're going to speak nursing. And when I have 5 people to choose from who I'm going to pay to help me, and you want one of them speaks nursing, guess who I'm hiring? The nurse who now does my taxes. And I love that you brought up coaching because we don't talk enough about coaching. People really are confused about coaching. But one of the things that coaching does is it pulls out all this stuff that you can't see for yourself. And we talk about evidence-based. I love research. When we're paying thousands of dollars to these people to help us, they have evidence too. They have millions of dollars, thousands of clients, and proven systems that they just give us. And that's why we're paying. We're paying for that execution, not for the idea. Because people are afraid to share the idea. They think people are going to run away with their idea. No one's going to run away with your idea. It's down to the execution that really separates everyone. Ideas are a dozen. You got a whole notebook full of ideas. How far has that gotten you?
Most people have the playbook. I mean, we're in the information AI, whatever age you want to call it. You can figure out everything. But most people will not take action on it because of fear, self-beliefs, and that messed up mindset that it's really not our fault. This is just how society and the educational system has built us, or how we were kind of raised. Like, hey, you go to work. You go to school, get a job, and you stay in the job, and that's it. Whatever.
It's an employee mindset, and that's what you were talking about. Because we even raise our children. You go get these things, so it's all about me. What am I going to get out of it? You mentioned that. As opposed to what can I also offer? How can I show up and serve?
Right. And I think that's when people are successful in business. Yes, we talk about money because it's important to talk about money and financial literacy and things like that. And when we say wealth, it's just beyond just money, right? Wealth is a whole slew of things that we don't have time to really get into. But we don't want people to associate the word money with something negative, right? It's like a tool. And I think that's where people go wrong a lot of times. Like, well, I don't want to talk about money. And, but you do have to talk about money because we have to normalize talking about it. And then we also have to understand the other part of it, which is, like you said, the service bit. Not thinking, hey, I just want to sell my service to this person or my product. it's like, how can I serve them, like you're saying, and make that impact? And then when you're purpose driven and you have that vision of you want to make the impact, then everything else will just really just fall into place. But yes, you have to also have that, value based pricing, which you mentioned earlier. So many of us have been taught to trade our time for money. I want more money. Okay, I got to pick up like 3 overtime shifts and keep trading my money. And then time for money. And then we're exhausted. But we have so much more to share that we can now take this intellectual property and really charge whatever it is we want, because it's not about, a dollar amount. It's like, how are you changing people's lives and transforming their lives, and shortening the path for them.
Yeah, and social determinants of health show us that our patients have other needs besides their health care. So when your patient leaves wherever you took care of them at, they need transportation, they need a place to live, a place to learn, a place to play. So you're still going to be showing up, taking care of your patients in other facets. And when we talk about that fear, that's actually a thing that really holds us back. And so coming to the conference, it helps to unpack that, because it's decades of fear, and we literally get paid to avoid mistakes. And so making that transition into realizing that when you get into business, you're going to make mistakes. That's how you actually get to the better idea. The idea you have now is not going to be the idea that you have in 6 months or in 2 years from now. So why keep waiting, trying to perfect it? Because it's going to keep changing. Your client's going to keep speaking to you and telling you what they actually want from you is not what you are showing up to do.
Right. And, as we wrap it up, the one thing that I learned a lot in business is, a lot of times, even with our patients, we think we know what's best for them. And we're always trying to, hey, do this or get this. Same thing when we're building businesses. I watch Myron Golden all the time too. And he's like, stop building things that people don't want. Why would you write a book that you didn't ask the public or the market if they actually wanted a book on such and such? Did you do the research? Sometimes we're building businesses that are not necessarily needed in the marketplace, right? It's all about supply and demand. I listen to Daniel Priestley all the time, and he says before you even launch anything, he's like, put out a wait list and see if anyone is even interested in the idea or whatever service or product you're trying to put out there, so that you save yourself time and money before you go build out all of this, this course or program that nobody wants to buy.
And you see how hard it is to get people to sign up for something for free. Think about how hard it is to get people to pay for something. That's when you really see the reality of what it is you think you want to do. And you're not convinced yet. We have our GDP, that's our gross domestic product. 70% of that is consumer spending. So when you say you don't want to talk about money, well, 70% of the people do want to talk about money, because they're spending it every day. And what they're spending on? Solving problems. Every minute, someone is looking for a problem to solve, and you have a solution to the problem they're looking for. That's what Farah is saying. Don't come up with your own problem. Ask them about their problem. And if you let people talk long enough, with our patients, they're going to tell you their problems. Just listen long enough to hear one that you can obsess about. The same way you want your patients to be able to have a conversation with you about their health is the same way you need to be when it comes to financial literacy, because you're going to have professionals helping you with your finances. You don't want to go in there blind. You want to have a base of fundamentals of understanding of what's going on for yourself, for your children, and for your family. That's all we're talking about. Just know the foundation so you can be informed and make a wise decision.
Yes. So, again, it's always a pleasure. We could talk about literally this stuff for hours.
Yes, we do. And we have.
And
I can't do this without everyone in my life. It seems real small because we do it a lot, but that was one of the first realities in entrepreneurship. Everybody's not as excited about this as I am. No. I can come to you and we can just go back and forth like a volleyball game. Even you helped me see my own value when it comes to negotiation and really being a master of that. It was like, I need to set my game up, right? You do that for me. And I cannot thank you enough for that and for this opportunity to grace a stage of your dream. And so I'm happy to do whatever I can to get as many people to sign up and use my affiliate link. And I'll see you in Tampa.
Yes, please come join us. Really, the foundational thing of this is like, we're nurses. We care about obviously communities and patients. And A lot of times, I'm going to the ANA summit just for a day on Saturday. But a lot of times we talk about change and we talk about policy change and this and this. But like what we also need to realize in nursing and in healthcare, right? Change is not going to happen if you don't have money, if you don't have leverage, if you don't have business skills, if you don't create wealth, you're not going to be able to impact communities at the scale that we want to as nurses and to change healthcare. So I do encourage more nurses to look at innovation, whether it's starting a business, going into tech, whatever it is that inspires you. There's so many different opportunities out there. And this is what, Dr. Kimberly Madison and I are trying to do, is really open everyone's eyes to the opportunities in nursing, because they're really endless. And this is why we hope that you come join us at the Nurses Making Business Moves Conference. And I'm so excited that you're coming to share your knowledge with everybody. And yes, networking night will be on Friday, March 6th, and then all day.
Picture night. That's picture night. That's in my head. That's what it is. In my head, that's what we're doing.
Video night, right? We love creating content. And yeah, building brand and being visible. Even if you're a nursing student, like I said, start talking about things that matter to you and getting out there and being visible, because that's just the way of the world these days. So yeah, we will see you in Tampa, March 6th and 7th. Go get your tickets. Go to nursesmakingbusinessmoves.com or use Dr. Madison's link. If you, once you post it, you can click on her link.
Are you going to Capitol Hill?
No, I'm just going to the ANA summit on the 14th, which is the last day of the summit, the Opportunity and Impact Summit. And I'll have a table there. Super excited about that. So if you're going to be in DC, definitely come check out the ANA summit. And if you're there, come connect with me, come to the table, and we'll have a chat. And again, how can they connect with you?
Oh, Mahogany Dermatology blog. That is always the best way to reach me. And I want to put a big plug in for nursing, because I believe nurses are investors in money and in each other, like we're doing right now in this conversation and in your conference. And we're investable. You want a nurse on your team. If you want to build a business that's going to be successful, that understands people, problem solving, communication, de-escalation, and innovation, you want a nurse on there. There's 5 million of us. We're bound to know someone you need to talk to.
Yes. And I love it. And if you want to also sponsor the conference or have the ability to get an exhibitor table, there are tables left and there are opportunities for you to sponsor. So many things are going on in healthcare and nursing, and this is your opportunity to support not only nurses, but support, females, entrepreneurs that want to change the game.
And help us, right?
And
help take care of patients. It doesn't mean your business has to take care of patients. Come in this room of a bunch of other entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, hear our problems, help us solve our problems, and together we can keep each other in business.
You heard it. Come to Nurses Making Money Moves. Business Moves. And we will see you in Tampa. We'll drop all the links. You can connect with Dr. Kimberly Madison. She creates a lot of content on all the platforms. So definitely follow her and follow her podcast as well, the
Melanin Initiative.
And shout out to her if you want to be a guest. Just link up with her and then come see us and come hang out at the conference in Tampa. Thank you again for your time. We hope this was valuable. Drop any comments or questions that you guys have in the chat, and we will